Hi, everyone. Welcome to 5 Questions with LeRoy Butler. Happy New Year to everyone.
You can't say Happy New Year. It's already like the 11th,
well, but this is the first time we've seen everybody since the New Year. It's 2019. A lot of things have changed.
It's Matt LaFleur time. It ain't no happy time. It ain't no Happy New Year.
That is your...
Getting back into the playoffs.
That's your New Year's resolution, that you're going to get back in the playoffs?
It has to be. I'm not going to put championship in the conversation because if you're watching these playoffs, it's teams that has big physical defenses and offenses that don't turn the ball over. So with that being said, I was happy about this particular hire, Tom, because people in the barbershop was looking for these big splash names. And I said, I don't think they will go in that direction. Okay, so
I will speak to your comment there in a little bit.
Okay.
You know, but as you all know by now, Matt LaFleur, offensive coordinator of the Tennessee Titans. For last year, he was offensive coordinator of the Los Angeles Rams. The year before that, did not call plays in Los Angeles.
He called plays in
Tennessee. Correct.
Okay.
After he's been with Kyle Shanahan, he's been with Sean McVay. He started out in Mike Shanahan's offense with Washington. He worked with Brian Kelly for a year at Notre Dame. So he's got an impressive resume. He's been with some really good coaches. The thing is, the big question is, he's run an offense for 2 years. Can he run an entire 53-man roster?
Well, I think that it'll be a lot of on-the-job training in some areas. I think his job is not to concentrate so much on the roster. Let Gutekunst handle that. He needs to concentrate on scoring points and stopping people. That's why I think that allegedly he kind of jumped the shark to me. You go into your interview, instead of you gutting everything out, starting over, you go in positive and you say, listen, I'm open to keeping Pettit. And I think everybody else may have said, you know what, I want to come in and just change all the defense, give the new guys something to study. But now you don't have to do that. You keep Pettit in place. The young guys kind of know the system, so you can start the season with Alexander and King. You can find your safeties and all that. That's all going to be on Gutekunst. But back to LaFleur, he has to get an offensive staff that understands what's going on in the NFL. Because it's a new trend. It used to be back in defenses were the thing with Denver and Seattle, that they won Super Bowls like that. But now everybody was looking for a young, the word innovative, I don't even know what that means anymore. Well, you're supposed to score points.
They're looking for people in the Kyle Shanahan and the Sean McVay coaching tree, which there's not a big coaching tree considering they've been coaches for 2 years. But they've all been in this system, and LaFleur's well-schooled in this system. Why don't you try to describe what this system, how it's different from, say, the West Coast offense?
Here's why I'm excited about it, and we're going to talk about it in X's and O's. We're actually going to do X's and O's in the offseason. That gets me very excited. He's going to do some of the things that people probably have been wanting to do. Run the football, okay? He's going to get a big, massive offensive line, so I would not be surprised if the first pick, the 12th pick, is a big right tackle or guard. With that being said, you'll still see them keep 4 tight ends because he run multiple tight end sets. Protection is an issue. If you go back and look at when Matt Ryan was his MVP season, in which LaFleur was his quarterback's coach, Matt Ryan had all the tools available. They like to flood zones, and we're going to talk about that at X and O's. Not so much the isolation routes, no, precise routes.
The one-on-one matchups when you have to beat your guy more so than the scheme opens it up for you.
In other words, Julio Jones is protected because he's running a route with somebody off of somebody, not him by himself. You can double him when he's by himself. But with 17, Devontae Adams, people be hard to double him because LaFleur will put him in other spots, not just line him up as the X. He'll be in a bunch formation. He'll be the guy on line, and he'll have an option to run the 7, 8, or the 9, but you'll have guys underneath. On the backside, you have a one-on-one with a tight end or a back. If you got to get a pass catching
Your
back.
backs have to be able to catch in the
Yes,
offense,
they
right?
got to be able to, because he had 2 backs, Coleman and Freeman in Atlanta. Then you had Gurley in L.A., but you also had Deion Lewis, and you had the big running back from Alabama,
Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry. So he always had these multiple backs, but I like his offense because it floods zones. When I played back in the 90s, when teams did that, it was difficult to understand who you're going to take away, because if you jump the guy underneath, there's a guy behind you. If you stay back, there's a guy underneath you. So it's an 18 to 25 route, or you got a 12 and a 6, but it's always the progression from short to long. So you should see that. And I think if you look at Mariota, his best years, I mean, the guy was banged up a little bit, but for the most part, the power running game, I'm really excited about.
Yeah, it's hard to glean a lot from the Titans because Mariota was hurt. They lost Delaney Walker. That was a huge loss for them. I mean, he's their best player on offense. So, you know, I mean, that happens, and you got to make the best, and they almost made the playoffs. But I think to me what I keep coming back to, and you talked about this in the beginning, and this is what I want to argue with you about, was he did not talk much about championships, you know, and you mentioned that he probably shouldn't, that he should just talk about, you know, advancing and not cleaning house and everything. But I sort of remember when McCarthy and Holmgren were hired, they talked about winning Super Bowl titles, winning, this is why we're here. We're going to work together. We're going to win, you know, we're going to bring the Lombardi back here. And I was waiting to hear more of that from him. And, you know, I understand it's just a press conference. There'll be more opportunities. But I was wondering if you thought that that should have been more a part of his presentation.
I don't think so. I want him to break away from the mold of the retreads of the old. Now, Murphy did mention that. And Gutekunst, those guys mentioned it.
Gutekunst did. I don't remember Murphy talking about it a lot.
I know Murphy's.
Gutekunst was like, we're here to win a world championship.
That's it.
Yes.
Full stop.
Right.
Now, my job is to do what they've done. He's spoken to Aaron Rodgers before all of this happened, so they're on the same page. 35 and 39, they respect each other. It's a partnership, as Aaron would say. The championships will be there if everybody's on the same page. I don't need him to get up there and just say, hey, man, I'm going to win the next Super Bowl and put that kind of stuff out there, because people will hold you to that. So set the bar low, and whatever you can do, he has to get this team off the LaFleur. You get it? Like floor. I mean, because you've been on the floor.
Can we edit that out?
No, you've been on the floor for 2 years. You've not made the playoffs for 2 years. I don't want to hear Super Bowls. I want to hear playoffs. I want to be playoffs, just like Mike McCarthy. Since you brought it up, 8 straight years in the playoffs was wonderful. Now you won a Super Bowl in 2010, but you got to get in the playoffs, because you got to look at these playoffs and say you can play with some of these teams. So that's what I want to hear, the commitment. I know you media guys don't like to hear that it's a dream job and that his wife and him picked up the kids, but players love that stuff.
But I wanted to hear that. I wanted to hear him say, I am here to win.
We know why he's here.
And I expect us to compete for the Super Bowl this year.
Gutekunst said that.
Why isn't the coach saying that?
Because the coach doesn't pick the roster.
Oh,
he doesn't. He has a GM.
So what? He's the coach. He's going to be the face of the organization.
Yes, he is.
He needs to
and
tell.
And what a good face it is.
If you can't tell your team that right off the bat.
Now, he will behind the scenes, but it ain't our business.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to set the parameters behind the scenes.
You want to set the parameters for the whole organization.
Oh, you want to please social media.
Knows. You want the
Everybody
fans to know what your goal is.
And you got a good point, because the fans are the owners. You're right about that.
Well, but
so maybe he'll say that at the shareholders meeting.
Okay.
Okay. I'll put a note in to say just mention championships. Don't do that. Gutekunst has already said that.
In my opening press conference,
okay,
I'm going to say I'm here for one reason.
Okay.
And that's to get us to the Super Bowl.
And you know what's going to happen? If you're not in the Super Bowl in year 2, they're going to fire you.
That's right. That's right.
But we know it's the most historical franchise in all of sports. He knows the pressure that he's getting himself into. I think we have to grow with him.
Then jump right into it.
He did jump right into
the pool and say, yeah, there's
you
a lot
media
of
guys got
to
move that. There's no pressure for him. He has to relax and appease 53 people, okay? Now, I will say this.
Appease is a bad word. You don't want to appease. That's like,
why not?
So
Holmgren did that.
Let's turn this around.
Okay.
Was he hired to appease Aaron Rodgers?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Aaron Rodgers is part of the team.
I'm glad you admit that.
He was also appeased Devontae Adams, Blake Martinez.
See, now that I don't know.
Everybody was appeased. Everybody.
I'm sure he was hired to appease Aaron Rodgers.
Everybody on the
I do not know about the other 50.
Everybody is equal. The only difference is their salary.
We'll see.
But I don't mind.
That's something he has to prove as a head coach, that he can speak to all 50.
But I don't mind that Holmgren had to appease Favre over me. I don't care. The quarterbacks,
do you think Holmgren appeased maybe a little bit later? But early on,
you got to get to know your quarterback, and that's on all 32 teams. The head coach and the quarterback got to be a partnership. They got to be bros, man. They got to set an agenda, because you're talking to the one guy that touches the ball every single time. I don't have a problem if their relationship is better than me and his. I don't. I really don't. But what has to break is the stuff that people thinking about what other people who've been in that locker room have said, Mercedes Lewis has said, and then one of his former coaches. That kind of stuff is over now. It's a reset button. And to his team, he's going to give the team the side eye. You know why I'm here, right? To win a championship. And everybody in that room is going to say, okay, great. And the players may tweet it out or send it or something like that. But I want him to concentrate getting his offensive staff together.
He'll do that.
Yes, and he can walk and chew gum. But I think what you were looking for was a stabilizer, because this franchise has been rocky. And they've done that with this particular hire, and I'm happy about it. I'm just so excited that they hired a guy that no one expected. Not these big splash Nick Saban types and all these big name coaches. Those guys don't seem to work.
Okay, well, there weren't a lot of big-name coaches this year.
Well, the first Jim Caldwell and Pagano, those guys are winning coaches that are going to AFC Championship
Yeah, but they're like has-beens. I mean, we're talking...
We don't use has-been, we say retread.
So let's look at the guys. I mean, Bruce Arians has some
record to him. They interviewed 10 guys.
But Cleveland hired Freddie Kitchens.
Yes.
Jets hired Adam Gase, still pretty young guy.
Yeah.
Denver hired
Vic
Fangio. That was the one older candidate.
He may be the only defensive coach as well.
Yeah. Now they're saying Cincinnati might hire Zac Taylor, who's never been an offensive coordinator. I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody else on who've hired young guys who really.
Well, Tampa Bay wanted to hire young people, but they may not.
Arizona hired Cliff Kingsbury.
Yep, that's another one.
I'm like,
right out of college.
Yeah, after getting fired out of college.
I know, but they like that spread offense.
I just worry that teams are chasing Sean McVay, and there's only one Sean McVay. Just like you can hire Josh McDaniels or Brian Flores or Eric Mangini or Matt Patricia, and they're not Bill Belichick. You're not going to get Bill Belichick. Yeah. So
I am glad they didn't hire Josh McDaniels, though.
Are you?
Yes.
Why?
I don't think the trust was there for him to put together a staff what he did in Indianapolis.
That's possible, yeah.
And I'm a Christian young man. I forgive people all the time. But you don't really need to make those kind of splashes. But he was the most qualified guy with all these championships.
But he's got to be the right fit. Yes. What did you think, and then we'll wrap up in a second, but what did you think of Murphy's I thought he somewhat disparaged the other candidates by saying, you know, we weren't really impressed with any of the interviews we had till we got to LaFleur. Was that a mistake for him to say that, or was he just being honest?
He was just being honest, but I also like Murphy's also saying this guy came in prepared. He separated himself because he knew mentally who he wanted on defense to coach the team. Pettit is the key. Now all these guys have the same agent. But if in the back of my mind, if I'm Murphy or Gutekunst, in the back of my mind I'm thinking, okay, I'm interviewing Caldwell, you know Gase and all these guys. None of them are really hitting the mark. When I see a guy that comes in that hits the mark, he's your guy. Now they did go home and sleep on it. They talked about it.
Which was
Russ
smart.
Ball and these guys, which was smart. They all came back, a consensus say, he's our guy, because he knows what he wants to do on defense. He's going to let Pettit stay in place. And that's what all their thinking was.
Yeah.
They were not going to make him keep him. They're just going to say, hey, man, talk to him.
Interview him
him and see what you think. That went smoothly.
I'm not sure.
He's one of the guys I want to keep.
Yeah, I'm not sure who he was going to bring in anyway. That would have been better than Patton.
Yeah.
He
had
just
some
have to make
candidates,
sure they
but
get
it's
along.
easier to just keep that guy.
Plus, they have the same agent, so they
Right,
probably know each other a little bit from that standpoint. What do you think about LaFleur still reporting to Murphy?
Now, that's the one thing that growing up in the 90s, that was different. Because Bob Harlan said, listen, here go the keys to the franchise to run with, and I'm going to stay out of it. Now, that's the one thing I wouldn't have told the media. Because it just, to me, that's one thing I'd have been as vague as possible, because it just gives people something to still talk about.
Yeah, but it puts Ron Wolf in charge. Ron Wolf was in charge. The people in the organization knew who was in charge. Mike Holmgren knew who was in charge. The community knew who was in charge.
See, I don't think that's important anymore, to know who's in charge and who to blame. You blame the franchise,
but
don't
it's not about blame. I think it's about leadership. It's about setting the tone. It's about, you're the one who, you know, when Ron came in, it was a way different.
Yes, I understand.
The building was different. All of a sudden, you had this confidence that this guy was going to get it done because he was so smart and came in and changed all kinds of things for the better. And then you walk through the halls, you knew Ron Wolf was it. You know, you were in good hands. I just
say what you gonna say.
No. I'm trying to. I'm a little bit brain dead from all this coach searching.
I understand.
But that's what I think you need from your general manager. That's why I think it's important to have one guy who's knowledgeable about football in charge of football. Your president sits there above the general manager. So if he sees something he doesn't like from the general manager, then okay, then move in. But I just don't like the idea of the president being in charge. I want my general manager to
Here's why I
football.
like it. Here's why I like it. I have younger daughters, I have younger kids, and they've helped me evolve. The one guy who fired McCarthy was who?
Murphy, yes.
He has to be the guy that hires the coach. That's consistent to me.
I don't.
It's just consistency. You may not like it, may not agree with it.
Yeah, I don't.
And that's all people have been, and I'm okay with that.
Okay.
But it just gives me that we've been under Ted Thompson era for a long time. One guy did everything. You know, pretty much. So I like that Murphy has skin in the game now. Because if this doesn't work, it's really not on Gutekunst. It's on Murphy.
No, but Gutekunst will get fired with Murphy.
But but in my firing, how can you fire me if I didn't hire a guy?
Because you're just going to sweep. If this doesn't work, whoosh, they're sweeping everybody out. I guarantee you that.
Well, first of all, it's going to work because I'm a positive person. But I see your point, but I just don't agree with it. I like the fact that Murphy is involved.
Make Murphy the owner. Let's say he's the owner. Do you want the owner involved in day-to-day stuff?
I have no problem with an owner.
You want Stephen Ross coming in and meddling in, you know, I don't really like the way you're adding players, or, you know, I don't like the players you're getting. Couldn't you change the offense just a little bit? Do you really want, I mean, Cleveland's been doing that with an owner interfering for years, and We know where Cleveland
No, you're right.
is.
You
We
got
know
some
where
good.
Miami is.
You got some good points with that, but I also don't mind that Jerry Jones, who's their GM, being involved.
And how many Super Bowls have they won under Jerry?
Quite a bit. Okay. I mean,
excuse me?
They've won
since
a couple.
Since Jimmy
well, I'm
Johnson?
just saying, but now he's also, if he's on the, if it's his fault that it went down, it's his fault they came back up.
Yeah.
So
I mean, he gets credit that they're back in the playoffs.
I don't have a problem with that. But see, I think people are taking it out of context. Murphy's not going to walk down past Gutekunst's office and talk to LaFleur and say, throw it more. He's not going to do that.
Okay.
It may come up in a conversation if they all meet, this is what we like to do. But I like it when you have these tiers like this. I like it. If I ran a multi-million-dollar company, I'm going to run the company. I'm not going to just be asleep at the wheel.
Okay.
I want Murphy with the uniform on, the sticks in the band. He's the lead singer. I don't care. We all get paid. We all get rings. I don't want a guy behind the wall running everything, and it just falls apart. And I'm going to tell you another reason real quick why I don't have a problem with it. Because when this thing started coming off the edges the last 3 years, then it was all on Ted. It was on Ted. It was.
And
maybe Murphy should have stepped in.
Yes. But that's his job.
Right.
That's his job.
Right.
When he sees people not performing up
Yes.
to par,
Yes.
then he moves in.
Yes.
But to me, up to that point, you're not involved. You just stay in your office,
Yes.
and if there's a problem, then
Yes.
you deal with it. Otherwise, you let Gutekunst run your show. But
I understand, because Bill pretty much runs this show. He lets me and you meet. He helps us do our videos. He sets it up for us to look great, but he runs the show. I don't mind him coming over to me and you and say, hey, we should talk about this. I love that.
Yeah.
I do. I love that. I want his opinion.
But I'm the president.
Well, he's kind of like the owner. He makes us look good and sound good.
He's talking about our producer, Bill Schultz.
Yeah, if it wasn't for Bill Schultz, I don't think this show would work. I'm not going to cut him out and let me and you just do whatever we want.
I'm not going to fire him, I'm going to just oversee.
But he can fire you by telling me I want him gone. But this is my question with LeRoy Butler. But I'm intelligent enough to know to understand your point.
Okay.
I just want you to see mine. And I think I like it, though. I like it. I have an open mind what you're saying. Gutekunst is going to be charged of the draft and players and roster. That's a lot, okay?
Yes, it is.
It is, it is.
It is.
And plus, Murphy has more experience than Gutekunst and LaFleur in football, okay? Because
no.
Okay, well, listen. I'm going to tell you this.
No, he is
Mike
not.
Mayock.
He played. I give him that credit.
Okay.
He was an athletic director at Colgate.
He's hired and fired before.
Yes, at Colgate.
It doesn't matter. If you've ever been over people,
at Colgate,
he's well qualified. You don't have to be qualified anymore. John Lynch, I hope he gets into the Hall of Fame. That'll make it easier for me. He was calling games. He's running in San Francisco. Mike Mayock was doing some. These guys are not qualified.
Let's see how that works.
But I'm just saying, I don't mind teams going a little way right or left.
Okay,
Go ahead and do it.
We'll see how that works.
So, but when the Packers do it, you immediately people got a problem with it. I just don't get it.
I think good football people should be in charge.
He is a good football person.
I don't think he's a good football person.
Why wouldn't you
say
he's
a corporate person.
But can't you walk into
works
bubble
the
gum?
business? No. You
can't?
have to be completely immersed into football.
Don't be using big words now.
You have to be. It has to be your life.
I understand it, but I like when a guy gets up out of the office and checks on his people, not just stay in the office and build Title Town.
I think that's
I want you to build Title Town and win a championship. And we build this umbrella, and we're all under this together. It's not a dictatorship; it's a democracy, and that's what Murphy
turning into
brings.
a dictatorship.
No, it's
that's
not.
The problem.
No,
okay, we're going to move on from this.
Dictatorship means you won't even want to hear from these guys.
All right,
he wants to hear.
We will see.
We'll let social media decide who's right on this.
Who all the
go to his Twitter, guys.
Coaches are. The people agree with me.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway.
Maybe they will.
That was a good, hearty discussion.
Yes.
So
I know we went long, but it was fun.
We'll see. We'll know more after they hire the staff,
yeah.
and there'll be the combine and then a mini camp. They get an extra.
I hope
mini
he brings
camp.
his brother in, a passing coordinator in San Francisco.
It's going to be hard for.
They're not going to get.
Yeah, Shanahan's not going to let him. you know.
But if Shanahan was his boy,
do you know the
let
guy
him grow.
from Jacksonville very well, that Nathaniel Hackett, Paul Hackett's son?
I've heard a lot about him.
Yeah, he's in the mix. We'll see.
Yes. Yeah, I heard a lot. They may not get permission there either, but
he's
available.
He's fired. He got fired from
he got fired. Oh, well.
Yeah, they blamed him instead of Blake Bortles for all that went wrong there. So
I don't know if I want to be bothered with that one.
Well, you know, I think he's actually, a lot of people in the business say he's really talented, that he just couldn't do anything with Blake Bortles. Who could?
Well, yeah, may have to give him a pass.
Yeah. Anyway, okay.
I like those guys.
Thanks for joining us.
I call Van Pelt back. I don't know. Anything to make Aaron Rodgers get back the MVP. And real quick, I will say LaFleur has the best of both worlds. He's worked with 2 MVP quarterbacks. That's a plus. That makes Packers the best job.
Okay. Anyway, thanks for joining us, and we will
stay tuned for
have
X's and O's.
some X's and O's and try to show you a little bit about LaFleur.
And my prediction is the Packers will be in the playoffs.
Okay.
Don't put that on the screen, though.
Can you bring the football in, though? Maybe hit him and knock some sense into his head? No,
They're not that far away. They're not that far away. You media guys kill me, man.
Okay.
Y'all,
Anyway, thanks for joining us. See you next time.
Bye.